Never mind. I just found the problem. Why does the fan not work on my KTM 500? That's what we're here to talk about today. I think it's at 500. Doesn't matter. But why does my fan not work on my KTM? That's what we're here to do today. We're going to be diagnosing this thing. A little bit different video than normal. I'm just going to walk you through from start to finish how we're going to diagnose and fix the fan situation on this bike. This is a newer KTM 4-stroke. I believe it's a 500. Doesn't really matter. It's a big bore 4-stroke and the fan quit working. So now we got to figure out why. Let's push it up on the left. First things first, we're going to confirm that that is the problem. So we're going to get this thing nice and hot and see if the fan turns on. Actually, I take that back. First things first, we're going to check electrical connections before I do anything, because that's easier than just running this thing and getting it super hot. Also, check and see where the temp sensor is on this bike. I don't actually know. I don't think we installed the sensor. So, yeah, actually, like I said, scratch that first part. Let's take the seat off and get in there and take a look at the connections. All right, guys, so this is a new enough bike that it is controlled in the ECU, the fan. So at least that's what I think, because there is no, I see no bung or sensor on the radiators like there would be on the older style. It's all just clean with a fan installed. I believe it came stock on there, and yeah, there's got all the things. So I think, again, we're switching gears. This is how it goes when you're diagnosing a problem. At least for me, my brain's kind of running all over the place, and I think I'm going to go one way, then I get another. So seeing that there is no temp sensor that I can see on this thing, let's take the tank off of here, get in here to the wiring harness and take a look, and then we'll also check to make sure the fan works itself. We'll put 12 volts to that. So yeah, tank off, then we'll get a little bit more deeper in, you know what I mean, get deeper into this thing. It's angry. All right, guys, now we're going to check and make sure the fan actually works. I got my Tusk jumper pack, by the way. Shout out to Rocky Mountain ATV, MC. They are the biggest sponsor of this channel. And if you want to help us while still maintaining all your Rocky Mountain cash and free shipping and all that good stuff, use the link in the description below, and you can get stuff from Rocky Mountain, and it helps us out. So using our Tusk jump pack, we're going to hook it up to here, hit the button, see if the fan comes on. Aha, there we go. 12 volts. Fan works. So that's good news. That means we're not buying a replacement fan. They're kind of expensive. They're not terrible, but they're not cheap either. So now what we got to do is, let's see, the next thing in the line would be the sensor for the temp, which I believe is going to be this right here, because this is just going to be engine temp, and it's going to be tied to the ECU. Is going to tell it what time or how hot it needs to be, blah blah blah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this thing back in to its home, and then I'm going to get my little crack torch and heat this thing up. Instead of running this motor and filling this place with exhaust fumes, it's going to heat that up just down here and hit the head, heat it up until it's really, really hot, and it should come on. Now, if it doesn't come on, the next thing we're looking at is one of these guys, and it looks like he pulled this one off already. So, because it's off of its little mooring there, we can fix that. But the good thing is his lights and all that stuff work, and I think this is the same relay as all the power relays on all KTMs. I think they're identical. So I have one of these that's brand new in a box, so we might just try that too. I got to figure out exactly which one it is. I don't know if it's this one that's pulled up or if it's one of the other three. But let's see if we can heat this thing up and if it will come on. Actually, before that, because there's no reason to do that. I don't know what I'm thinking. What I can do, well, we still might have to do that because we might have to see if this sensor is even working, because what happens is inside the sensor, it's a little, I don't know if it's wax or, anyway, there's a thing that happens, like, that connects when it hits a certain temperature, and they can set them, they can build them to be all kinds of different temperatures. So we might still have to touch that, but what we're going to do first is we're going to make a connection here. We're going to jump this connection here and see if that turns the fan on. If that turns the fan on, then we know that this is good, and then we know it's just this sensor. So yeah, let's plug some stuff back in. All right, we got our Yama clip, which is what my instructors at MMI always called a paper clip. I'm gonna go to one side and then to the other. I guess I'll have to see if this needs to be running for this to work. I don't think so, but maybe. All right, so that's jumped, no fan, but I think we might have to have it on. So now, by hitting that button, you can see the bike is on, and that's usually how it works, is that the fan will stay on for a little bit. Make sure, you know what, I'm not 100% sure that's going in all the way. Some better back probes. Quadruple check that we're actually going in and truly making a good connection. Now I know I've got two good probes all the way in. Now we'll hit the button. Okay, things are on. All right, it's leaning me to believe that maybe it's the relay, because I'm pretty sure that with that light on there, it should be going. I might have to, before I totally decide that this is the case, I'm gonna do a little bit of research, see which one of these is the right relay. We'll try swapping that out real fast, because like I said, I have a fresh brand new one in a box. I can plug that in, do this same test, see if the thing comes on under just like, if that, you know, obviously then that just, ooh, I just heard this relay shut off. So if that happens, then we know for a fact it's the relay. If not, then we might have to get the bike running to see if that's part of the situation. Because I know the bike, the light has, or the, let's see, I think, actually, hang on. I think, because he said his light works, so we can swap relays there if that's what we need. This switch is not my favorite. There we go. Okay, so that does not turn the light on. So it might actually have to run for that. So we can hook all that back up in a second, but I'm gonna check relays here. Actually, I can rule out one when this thing turns off, because that would be the main power relay. Okay, it felt like it was that one. Oh, haha, right there. It says fan relay right on the thing. So, okay. Other thing, let's check the fuses real fast since we're right here. They all look good, but I'm going to touch them all with my meter and make sure we got connectivity. Continuity, excuse me. All right. Next. So this is the fan relay. It's got dielectric grease on it, which is that's good. All right, guys. So I don't have a relay. I thought I did. I must have sold it to someone, but that's okay. We can use the headlight relay as a tester. Now I hooked that in. I think the bike might need to run for this to work. So I'm gonna set the tank back on just nice and loosely, get everything hooked back up so we can actually hear this thing fire up and run and see if then it comes on. Everything's hooked up. That needs to be hooked up, that is. Now we gotta make sure we get this off of here so we don't melt these wires. All right, so that doesn't work. And the headlight's not on. Let's swap this relay back over to what we think is the headlight and see if the headlight comes on. It's also got a blink code, a 12 blink code. So we'll see if that continues when we swap the fan relay or the relay back over to the headlight. See if the headlight comes on and see if that thing goes off. Because I don't know what 12 means off the top of my head. Okay, now that's back on. Hold on. Come over here, make sure we don't melt these wires. I do still have them sitting there. Okay. So, that was the headlight relay. And we're still getting a blink code. Still a 12 blink. I think next thing's next. I'm going to try plugging this back in to the, before it gets too hot, plug this thing back in, see if that blink code goes away when I plug this back into the temp sensor. So it is good to know also the headlight went off before the main bike parts went off, so that's super good to know. Let's see. Ooh, the other thing I can do is just check by jumping the right part of the relay here to see if that turns everything on, because that would theoretically do it too, but let's see. On this would, I could see the temp sensor throwing a code, even if it's not just for the fan, because the engine management, the ECU, all that is going to want to know what the temp is all the time for mapping and all that stuff. See if our little blinky goes off. Sweet. Blink code goes off, that's good. Now, I think what we're going to do is I got to figure out which two wires supply power to the fan. I'm just going to jump those instead of relying on the relay. And if that works, then we know it's a relay. And there may be something with the fact that since that since that was unplugged, it may just not be right. Like it may need a certain resistance so that it can send the information to the ECU. And so it still could be the relay, even though we took the relay and jumped that and all that. It may not work like that. A lot of times they actually make these computers a lot more, like a lot smarter than that, so you can't just jump things. But yeah, let me see what we can figure out. Oh, never mind. I just found the problem. I did not look at it closely, but right there, he's got a broken wire. Boom! Sweet. Well, that's pretty obvious. It's not the relay, it's not anything, it's just a broken wire. I'm surprised I didn't notice that before, but I didn't. So that's awesome. That's an easy fix. Although right there, it's not the easiest fix. super close to that. But we're going to get her fixed. Let me set you guys down. It's going to take me kind of scratching my head a little bit and seeing how I'm going to get that sorted out. But that's awesome. That's actually really good. It's a bummer that it broke, but like I said, we can fix that pretty simply. So 1 second. All right, guys, got her all fixed up. Ended up having to add an extra piece of wire just because it was too short here. So actually, I should have brought you guys in, but I have one of these tools. These are really handy for getting connectors out of the plastic housing. So you use this and go boop, and there's a little tab that kind of clicks into place. Anyway, it moves that tab, gets it out of the way. Got it out, put a new wire on it, put my little heat shrinky guy on it and all the way up in there. So it's all super insulated, which is good. And then added a piece of wire, so now there's a bit of a loop, but whatever, no big deal. And now I've got this. I accidentally cut that wire right there when I was opening up the loom, so I got to fix that with some tape. It didn't cut the wire, fortunately, just the insulation. Fix that. You guys don't need to watch me do that. I'm going to put that on there, then we'll get the relay back on here, and then we'll see if we can't make this thing work. I bet we're going to be good. All right, guys, got it all back together. All looks happy. Everything's insulated and good. Now what I'm going to do is I think what I'll do is actually just use my little tiny crack torch to heat this up. I'm going to move that out of the way, then just heat this up, see if I can't get it to turn on. Probably going to have to bump the button when to get it to run and turn like the power on, and then do it. I just don't want to run this thing forever until it's hot enough, because it's a pain in the butt. In fact, actually, I'm just going to start it, and while it's running, I'll heat that up extra fast. All right, guys, check it out. I just had to turn it off for a second, but oh, there we go. Also, it's good to know that that goes off as soon as the bike turns off. So there you go, a little info for you if you're diagnosing a fan problem. The bike's got to run. Otherwise, you won't know for sure if it's got, because it's got to have, everything's got to turn on for that fan to run, which is nice because that means it won't kill the battery sitting there and going after the bike's dead. So there we go, guys. Diagnosing a no fan issue on a KTM 4-stroke that has the relay style fan connection and the ECU that tells it when to turn on. Hope that was informative. Hope that helps you. Make sure you comment below if this helped you diagnose your problem. I know ours was a broken wire. It could have been a relay, could have been wiring, could have been the fan, and I hope I showed you how to check all that stuff. And I know that I was kind of scattered and here and there, but that's how my brain works when I'm diagnosing things. Sometimes it's a little more linear, but a lot of times it's kind of bounces around, and that's just how, like I said, that's how it works for me. And it usually works out. I usually figure out what's wrong with the bike. So hope that helps, and we'll see you guys on the next one.